But it doesn't have about the special meetings. There is another one.
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. The meeting is now convened. It is 5:02 p.m. on Tuesday, May 5th, 2026. A quorum of the board is present in the boardroom in accordance with Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code, Chapter 551. They're Bobby Adier, Frost Prelo, Luis Galindo, Courtney Lewis, Rosa Maria Berdeja, Tennessee Walker, Lori George, and Jay Segal. Frost Prelo will not be joining us this evening. At our last meeting, we discussed that we plan to move the executive session to the beginning of the board meeting to avoid having the people who have given generously of their time to come out and speak to us and watch our proceedings. And so we would reserve that time for the body of the board meeting after we reconvene in executive session. The time is now 5:03 p.m. on Tuesday, May 5th, 2026. We will now recess and reconvene for executive session as authorized by Chapter 551 of the Texas Government Code under Sections 551.071, 72, and 074.
you're feeling down, wanna come my way, gonna lift you up. Let me hear you say, yeah, we're living on love. 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 Oh, oh, we're gonna take you home. Oh, oh, we're gonna lift you up. Oh, oh, we're gonna take
Better. It's a lot better. So, in accordance with the Open Meetings Law, the board convened the meeting at 5:02 p.m. with a quorum present, recessed upon open session, convened in executive session, and now reconvenes open session at 6:14 p.m. with a quorum present. I would ask everyone to please silence their cell phones and ask that we're going to stand in just a moment, but the order is the Star Spangled Banner will be sung first, then the pledges, And and then pledges to, or both pledges, and then we'll sit down. But that's our order. So, ladies and gentlemen, please stand and welcome the Polytechnic High School, JROTC, to present the colors of our nation. And then Pedro Villegas from Southwest High School is going to sing our national anthem tonight.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming. And the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Right, face, forward, march, left, 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 right, right, left, left.
Now we will say the pledge to the Texas flag. Honor the Texas flag.
I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you. Please be seated. I want to thank those outstanding students for being with us tonight. A couple of things I'd like to say before we begin public comment. Today, for the first time, we changed the order of executive session. In the past, executive session would come in the middle of a board meeting, which would result in all those of you who made the time to come out tonight often wait up to 2 hours for the board to reconvene, and some nights even longer than that. We want to make it as accessible for everyone to be here, and particularly parents. If we come back at 9:30 or 10, there's no way a parent with children at home can be here. So it's possible that something may come up that would require us to go into executive session just to deal with a specific issue. But going forward, we'll have that executive session ahead of time. So we can go straight through the agenda, and it's predictable how long you're going to be here tonight. So thank you for being here. We now move to public comment, item 5 on the agenda. We value hearing from everyone in the community. Thank you for being here. Public comment is a critically important part of this operations of this school district, operations of our democracy. Before we begin hearing public comment, I want to share a brief reminder of our process and expectations in special meetings such as this operate under different rules. In the normal meetings, people are free to talk about anything they wish. Tonight, in special meetings, you are restricted to the agenda. So as you come up, I'm going to read the issue that you have signed up to address, and we're going to hold you to sticking with the agenda. Again, it's a different night. It's different than a regular meeting. As you know, speakers must sign up in advance through our determined process. You'll be called in order and will have up to 3 minutes to speak. The presiding officer may make adjustments when needed to help manage time and ensure everyone is heard. As I said earlier, at regular meetings, speakers may address at any topic. At special meetings, comments are limited to the posted agenda. The board will listen to all the public comments, but does not engage in discussion during this portion of the meeting. When appropriate, responses are limited to factual information or existing policy. We ask that speakers be mindful of student privacy and refrain from identifying students by name, as student information is protected by law. However, a parent or guardian may identify his or her own child if they choose. Speakers are also encouraged to avoid naming individual employees or volunteers and instead address their concerns to the campus program at the district level. We also ask that concerns about individual employees, students, or other confidential matters be directed through appropriate district processes rather than during public comment, as those procedures are designed to ensure concerns are handled appropriately and fairly. Please respect the procedures in place, as well as other speakers and audience members. Everyone deserves dignity and respect from every single one of us. Thank you for your engagement. Thank you for being a part of this process. May I see this? We have 11 speakers signed up tonight, and I'm going to call the name of the first and then ask the second person to please move forward just to keep things moving. The first person on our speaking agenda tonight is Tricia Forsyth, and she will be followed by Griselda Ronning. Ms. Forsyth has asked to speak on all agenda items. Thank you, Ms. Forsyth.
Hello, Superintendent and Board of Managers.
Microphone's working.
I want to start with a simple
Okay.
question, is what does transparency look like to you? Because what we're experiencing is not transparency. Transparency is not calling a meeting after decisions have already been made. It's not notifying employees first, requiring them to sign a new contract and then present it to the public as if input still matters. At that point, this meeting feels performative and not participatory. We've seen a pattern.
I beg your pardon, and would you pause the timer for a second? Which agenda item are you speaking to?
All of them. Because what are they, I'm confused. This is the same thing we've already done.
Okay.
Like,
All right, thank you.
So, as I was saying, we've seen the pattern. Roles removed, positions reduced, change rolled out in phases. Now here we are again, beginning what is happening rather than including the process before it happens. That's the disconnect. The community asks for transparency, proactive sharing info, and not waiting until we ask. It's certainly not after decisions are already realized. It also means honesty that goes beyond answering what only we asked. It means giving the full picture. And to the board, your vote matters. Well, obviously not, because they all can't even show up. Like, it's third meeting and we're already, it's crazy. You're supposed to represent different perspectives, but yet you guys always vote the same every time. It's the same thing over and over again. But yeah, that's about it. We'll see you guys next meeting, guys. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Forsyth. The next speaker is Griselda Ronning, and she'll be followed by David Hafer. And Ms. Ronning is speaking on non-renewal of probationary contracts. Is Ms. Ronning here? Okay. Next speaker is David Hafer, and Mr. Hafer will be followed by Caroline James. Mr. Hafer speaking on real property.
Good evening. First, President Guerin, I want to thank you for the change to the way that you're putting the executive session in a place that makes it possible for people to monitor what's happening here and not be making decisions in the wee hours of the morning or very, very late at night. So thank you for that. So in your executive session item today, the first item was related to Farrington Field. Now, I fully understand that Section 551.072 gives you the right to be able to speak about not deliberations, but details of pending decisions on real estate transactions. But the deliberation needs to happen here in front of us, and we need to hear why from every one of you. Each and every one of you, we need to hear some comments about why you're doing some of the things that you're doing. Particularly, and this is kind of astounding me already, because like I said last week, I went through that 2 days of the Lone Star governance training, and nothing about dealing with real estate was talked about in those 2 days that I recall, and the whole focus was to be on student outcomes from the very outset when you came in and replaced our elected trustees. So I'm going to ask all of you to explain to us at some point when you get ready to make a decision on this, why are you taking this issue up right now with perhaps selling all or part of Farrington Field? How does it relate to student outcomes? Because I haven't seen that yet. Farrington Field is a historic fixture in the community, and it belongs to all of us, property of the school district, but we are the school district. We are the ones that pay the taxes that make this school district run. And so you owe it to us we deserve to hear from you as to the deliberations and the decisions that you're making. I don't know enough about the other items on the agenda to be able to speak to those because there wasn't enough information provided to help me understand what you're doing and why you're doing it. You owe that to us, to tell us why you're doing the things that you're doing. And then let's have some real deliberation here in front of all of us so we can see what you're thinking and we know why you're voting the way that you're voting, because so far we haven't been able to see that. The other things I wanted to speak about, I'll be back next week, so I'll see you then.
Thank you, Mr. Hafer. Our next speaker is Caroline James. She's going to speak on agenda item 7A, and she'll be followed by Sabrina Ball, who's, Caroline James, please come up.
Good afternoon. My name is Caroline James. I live in the Westcliff neighborhood, and I have 3 boys. My middle son has dyslexia, and he was not well served in Fort Worth ISD. It was at his new school that Andrew's dyslexia was diagnosed and where he now receives academic language therapy. I know that you're making personnel decisions, and I want to be sure that Fort Worth ISD is prepared to serve students with dyslexia. Dyslexia occurs in 12 to 15% of the population, and yet you have schools with an enrollment of 600 reporting to PEIMS that they only have 5 students with dyslexia. That's a statistical impossibility. Dyslexia is the most common learning difference. It's one for which we have the answers. We know how to serve these kids. And the consequences of not serving these kids are devastating for that child, for their family, for this community. As you are making hiring decisions, I urge you to consider whether Fort Worth ISD has enough diagnosticians to provide testing when learning disabilities are suspected, and does Fort Worth ISD have enough certified academic language therapists to serve those students well? Literacy Roundup is an initiative by the city to find students with dyslexia and connect them with services. Last summer, we screened 400 students for dyslexia, and we identified 150 who were at risk. This summer, we will screen over 1,000. My question for you is, are you going to be prepared to serve them well? Delays in testing or staffing constraints that fail to provide meaningful intervention from academic language therapists will have real consequences for these students, academically and emotionally. Please be ready to serve them.
Thank you, Ms. James. Our next speaker is Sabrina Ball, and she'll speak on non-renewal of probationary contracts. And that will be followed by, and she will be followed by Lon Burnham.
To be fair, I was thrown by the agenda question. We've never been asked that before, so I imagine.
I beg your pardon, I can't hear you.
I don't want my time to start.
Okay, don't start at
Okay.
time. She's got a question.
I'm just saying, I was thrown by the agenda question. We've never been asked that before, and it wasn't explained when we called in that we were prohibited to that. So mine's really on all the employment decisions,
It's on the whole agenda.
pretty much, yeah. Not Farrington Field, the employment decisions.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
There are two Fort Worth ISDs, the haves and the have-nots. The top 5 elementaries in 2025 were Burton Hill, West Park, De Zavala, Tanglewood, and Overton Park. Do you know what they have in common? Surprisingly, it's not wealth. With the exception of De Zavala, sure, they're majority white. So even though it's in the top 5, it's not surprising it was chosen for closure. And while they have more privilege, all of these schools have the same philosophy. It's an understanding that children need strong, supportive environments catered to their learning styles. They need to spend time reading and be encouraged to read books. And they understand that teachers and staff have value, and they show them through action and respect. Tanglewood and Overton Park have created little private schools through human capital and actual dollars. The other 3 are not wealthy. They are supported by strong parent groups that demanded these things from the district, and if the district said no, they figured out a way. They get good certified teachers who are reactive to their children, not a regimen that comes down from a high-paid administrator, and certainly not from a computer written by AI. They get special programs, art, community, and they get support. They ensure that when a kid is struggling, someone is there to pick them up, and this philosophy works. Extra support, wherever it comes from, works. It angers me that you do not recognize these success stories and learn from it. It's a model used in private schools and in the most successful charters. The state is paying students to go get it. Yet when you talk about what kids in failing public schools need, schools in poor neighborhoods that are majority minority, you don't even attempt to replicate the model. They don't get reading nooks and thoughtful language models and support staff. They get rigid, experimental models that fail to recognize the source of failure. When you all had a choice, you chose to run in the opposite direction of proven successful models. You decided that Black and brown children with special needs, get less support. And yes, you can tell me all day long that isn't true and that they'll somehow get more support, but we believe what we see with our own eyes. Mr. Guerin, you said you'd be more transparent in the agenda, but this doesn't tell us what we're losing. It doesn't tell us what rights these employees have left. Your photo ops are a lie because you're ruling through fear. Some of you have chosen to speak out, calling us alt-left hack jobs or citing their own anecdotal evidence to support your compliance to the state, to make you feel better about your own choices. But none of you have demonstrated that you have taken the time to learn the source of our failures, to determine what our kids need, to even determine what we already have in place. You are complicit in a machine that will be replicated in Lake Worth and Beaumont and across the state until we have completely segregated the haves from the have-nots. So when you vote today, I hope you ask yourself, what evidence do I have that these are the right choices, that these are my choices, or am I simply doing what I'm told?
Thank you, Ms. Ball. Our next speaker is Lon Burnham, and Representative Burnham will be followed by Deanna Deerdorf.
Good afternoon. If I'm a little too familiar with Pete, we've known each other for multiple decades. For the rest of you, I'm Lon Burnham. I'm a proud graduate, K through 12, the 4th ISD. My late mother was an elementary school teacher teaching the 4th and 5th grade. And the 18 years I served in the legislature, I was a persistent nag about the fact that we're not spending enough money on public education. Pete is also aware that I have a whole lot of concerns about an appointed board, appointed by the governor, in essence, as opposed to an elected board. I spent a number of decades trying to make sure there was proper representation from every community in this district, and I don't think this appointed board represents that. What I want to talk about today is, and Pete, I know you're not running in a popularity contest. You wouldn't be doing this job if you expected to win it, I know. But the fact of the matter is, you could do a little bit better on the whole transparency issue, and there wouldn't be so many angry rumors running around the community. I came down thinking I might be able to talk about libraries. I have a passion about libraries. I've heard rumors about their being closed like they were in Houston, librarians laid off like they were in so many cases. My wife is a retired librarian. I know about that. I also have a passion about Farrington Field, and Pete, you and I talked about Farrington Field before you ever got this rough assignment. Don't tear it down. Don't let anybody tear it down. I realize there's a lot of parking that could be better utilized for something else, but the suspicions are running rampant because of the lack of transparency in the printed agenda. I couldn't even figure out, and I got a double degree myself, I couldn't even figure out exactly how I wanted to sign up. I had to go get some coaching from staff. So, I mean, bottom line is, a lot of us are not happy with where we are. A lot of us understood the school district wasn't doing an adequate job, but we are even more unhappy with the lack of transparency as you guys started off. And I apologize for not being for the previous meetings, but the fact of the matter is you're making some major decisions that are not involving the community. You're unelected. Your primary job is to listen to the community before you make decisions based on recommendations from a superintendent that was brought from the outside, not selected by elected board. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Representative Burnham. Our next speaker is Deanna Deerdorf, and Ms. Deerdorf will be followed by, I apologize if I mispronounce the first name, Ambika Sharma.
Good evening. I'm Deanna Deerdorf, parent to 4 Fort Worth ISD children, also a member of FORT and the Fort Worth ISD Council of PTAs, and it's good to see you all again. I want to start off with some positive things. I want to acknowledge that I think it's important that all of us as a community, and I see all of us in a shared community, celebrate our successes and our wins together. And I'm hearing from parents who are excited about their campuses for the first time, getting fully staffed, highly quality teachers at their under-resourced campuses. And I want to thank you, Dr. Licata. I recognize a lot of the Elevate principals here. I want to thank them for stepping into that role. These campuses have long deserved that attention and that quality, and that is a win that we can all celebrate together. I'll also, this week, as you all know, is Staff Appreciation Week, and so across all of our campuses, teachers and staff are hopefully being showered with all the love that they deserve for the work that they do. Alice Carlson, PTA, is not only celebrating their campus staff, but is also sharing their resources and volunteers to celebrate campuses all across the district who do not share the same resources they do. And in addition, the Fort Worth ISD Council of PTAs, through their impact program, is also sharing resources and volunteers to make sure staff at under-resourced campuses are celebrated in the way that they deserve. All of us should be united in celebrating successes together because these successes mean improved outcomes for our children. My asks for you tonight center on partnership. We have so many excellent community organizations: Fort, Literacy Fort Worth, Parent Shield, Fort Worth ISD Council of PTAs, more that I'm sure I'm forgetting. All of us and the broader community, we want the same thing as you. We want our district better. We want our outcomes for our children to be better. We are Team Fort Worth Children. You are Team Fort Worth Children. We should be able to professionally and strongly disagree at times about the how, but I think it's important that we not find ourselves pitting against each other and that we find a way to, even among those strong disagreements, come together, work together, rely on each other to achieve that goal, because our children do deserve that. Dr. Luck, I'm running out of time. As you consider revisions to the policy and to the employee contracts or any future changes, I'm asking you, please, we need more transparency in order for that partnership to be effective. The transparency isn't quite there yet. I know that you've stated that as your goal. We also have that as a goal. So, thank you.
Thank you for your remarks. Our next speaker, Ms. Sharma, and she will be followed by Robert Rogers. Ms. Sharma is speaking on agenda items 7A through 7E, or maybe and 7E, I'm not certain, so.
It's for all three, all five. That confused me, that question, when I called to sign in. So yes, my name is Ambika Sharma. I'm a graduate of FWISD, went to Northside High, and my brothers also went to Southwest High. And today I'm here to speak against 7A to 7E, so all. Basically, I'm against the cuts, primarily from a perspective of how you have drafted these documentation. I find myself I would say I'm pretty decent in understanding legal contracts, but the way you have drafted, I just don't understand what you're seeking. I think the intent is to give yourself unyielding power to terminate contracts as and when and if as you wish. And I think that's problematic because when you write something in such broad strokes, that's really just against legal contract 101. Your contracts are too vague, or the way you're going about this in drafting, it's too vague, and it's going to lead to legal problems down the line. So that's one problem that I have in how you have drafted. It doesn't say. Second is transparency. It doesn't say which criteria would you follow in terms of terminating employees. What do they have to do? It just seems that anybody that doesn't have, for example, if somebody's on a probationary, I think that was topic 7B, is automatically dismantled. I think that's also a problem. There needs to be some criteria. The lack of criteria, the fact that it's written in such vague, broad stroke terms, I have a problem from a legal contract perspective. Second is actually what you said, Mr. Green. I'm also new to this, so I don't know your names, but you mentioned something, so I'm just going to quote you. In the beginning, you said that public statement is a critically important part of our democracy. So I quote you, and that's actually why I showed up today. I don't have any children, and so my roots are in terms of I came to Fort Worth ISD and I graduated, and I've been able to achieve the American dream that my parents had envisioned. But when you have 140 people come up, show up here in an evening and speak in opposition, and then yet you guys vote unanimously, that's not listening. So Pete, I'm very confused how you can say today that public comment is a critically important part of our democracy, and yet you all vote unanimously against what 140 people asked you not to do. I am concerned about how democracy is eroding, especially at the federal level, but what happened here on April 28th has me concerned that democracy is also eroding at the local level. So it's not okay to vote unanimously, especially what you did, Rosa, after your statement. So please listen, but listen with the intent to learn, not listen with the intent to execute what you've already been asked to do by Greg Abbott. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Sharma. Next speaker is Dr. Robert Rogers, and Dr. Rogers will be followed by E.J. Carrion.
Good evening. Yes, I'm a physician doctor, not an educational doctor. And my specialty has to do with what I want to talk about tonight. Because as I read this flexibility that we're proposing to give the superintendent to employ and not employ people, it makes me interested in the theory of action pillar 3, excellent talent incentivized to empower students. As an allergist, if one of you all had a bee sting reaction tonight and you needed treatment for your anaphylaxis, I'm ready. I'm prepared. I know how to do that. I've had extensive training, and I know that field. If one of you had a heart attack based on an arrhythmia tonight, I could do CPR. I know how to use an AED. But when you get to the cardiac intensive care unit, you do not want an allergist taking care of your heart attack. You want a cardiologist who has done years and years of training, goes to all of the conferences, learns from the best, keeps up to date. The reason I'm bringing this up is that our district is in the intensive care unit. We have done a miserable job of teaching children to read. There is no way around that. And I think the reason for the takeover is fundamentally based on that failure to teach reading. However, through all of this process of bringing new people in, we have a lot of new cabinet people. We have, I think, a great new group of Elevate principals here. I have not heard a word about the specialist who is going to be the support that these people need to teach reading. The cabinet does not have that experience. I've heard claims over and over again, 100% of our third grade students would be reading at grade level by 2025. That was last year. We missed that by a lot. So when we hear we're going to have the best district in the state or the nation, this just goes over me. Show me some evidence. And Board of Managers, I want you to ask for this. Show us evidence that we have experts in teaching reading that can give the support to these people so that they will know what to do. I haven't heard a word of that yet. I'm not going to presume that that plan has been made. I think we need to know that that plan has been made. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Rogers. Our next speaker is E.J. Carrion, and Mr. Carrion will be followed by Alexander Montalvo, and Mr. Carrion is going to speak to us about employee action items. Thank you, Mr. Carrion.
The item I came to speak on is efforts to lay off staff and teachers. I want to make a recommendation that we lay off the Fort Worth Way. Dr. Licata, you may not know what the Fort Worth Way is yet, but the Fort Worth Way, how I like to describe it, it's a network of people who are focused on the interests, protecting the interests and money of privileged white community members. And the facade that they create is they create order, they create niceness. You use words like politeness and compliant with our kids, very Fort Worth Way language, so you are picking up really quickly. But I want to talk about why I think we should lay off the Fort Worth Way. One, I want to say history of how the Fort Worth Way, since you're new here, is honestly, we're talking about Farrington Field, but did you know Pete Guerin's grandfather is an architect? I mean, he worked on Farrington Field, Arlington Heights, TCU, Fort Worth ISD, Texas Wesleyan. The person to your left, his family built Fort Worth. And Pete Guerin is an architect of the Fort Worth Way. Him and his brother, Charlie Guerin. Pete is a Democrat, 4-term U.S. House of Representative. He coined Blue Dog Democrats. He worked for President George Bush, United States Secretary of Air Force. He worked for Obama. And so, then at 2011, he became president of the Sid Richardson Foundation. And that's where the architect of the Fort Worth Way, because moderate Democrat shows up, wants to protect the city. His brother, Charlie Guerin, at the time was a moderate Republican. And so he shows up and they say, we have to protect Fort Worth, a couple other families, and they protect that order and status that's been going on for decades. And so we talk about firing staff and teachers and people who are qualified, but we're talking about a guy who's given millions of dollars to this education system. And so I can't understand how we could look at the failure of Fort Worth ISD and not look directly at ourselves. I mean, we have allowed Tim O'Hare to take over TAD and lower property taxes so schools don't get funded. We are driving by Mercy Culture and they're promoting Abbott's voucher program. Why aren't we thinking about laying off the teachers and the staff when it's time to lay off the Fort Worth Way? Your brother voted for 10 Commandments in school. Your brother voted for the voucher program. Your brother locked a black woman, Nicole Collier, in chamber because she wouldn't take a DHS agent. This is the Fort Worth Way that has gotten us to this exact point. And what does the Fort Worth Way do? I love all the 140 people who came up here to speak to you guys. That's very Fort Worth Way. They come up, think you guys have power, think you guys can do something, and then they yell at you, give you the benefit of the doubt, and they cry and realize you guys can't do anything anyways. And so I say it's time to lay off the Fort Worth Way. And Pete, it's unfortunate that your dad architected the city and you're here to burn it down.
Thank you, Mr. Carrion. Our next speaker is Alexander Montalvo, and he is going to speak to the agenda items, the Chapter 21 employees.
All right, so I think I'm here. We've heard from a lot of folks, we have a lot of questions. And I think a new question that I have coming in and hearing you talk, Pete, is about the executive session being moved to the front of the meeting. So it's my understanding that one of the functions of us being able to have public comments is that you get to hear from the community. Hopefully there's some deliberation up here in front of the community so we understand what's going on, but that you may have to have some questions behind closed doors to figure out things. Essentially, it seems like you're telling us you're going to have those conversations before you hear from anybody. You're going to make your decisions. You're going to do your time to hear us out. But in the end, you don't care what we say. You don't care about our perspective or our voice. And then you're going to vote, most likely unanimously, just like you have been up to this point, even after almost 140 people talk to you about an issue that they care about. Peter, you're still in the community gaslighting everybody and saying that INA was a failure. You're still using STAR data when you're not using TELPAS data. Community members are walking up directly to you to tell you this is, it was a temporary situation for students and that, that we're just coddling them and that it's better for them to be immersed into a world that they are completely unfamiliar with, language, culture, and everything. And it's just, for me, it shows how callous both of you are in leading this board of managers and leading this district, especially when we start asking about the staff and the teacher. And your Pillar 5 theory of action is excellent service to students, parents, and staff. I don't see any of that. My daughter in the district doesn't see any of that. And those teachers that came last week and the people who are here today aren't seeing that. So Pillar 5 is a huge failure as of right now, and based on these decisions and how you're operating and how you continue to gaslight community, I don't really anticipate any of that changing. So if the goal is to dismantle anything that Fort Worth ISD has been able to be successful at, regardless of the people, regardless of the talent, so that you can get the yes people from anywhere in the country who won't set up roots in our community, who won't get to know our families, and who are just going to be here for an elevated paycheck and then move on once y'all decide to shift things or shift the blame or whatever it is y'all have next in y'all's tactics and playbook. I think all of us have to ask ourselves, why are we giving you any room to talk to us and gaslight us with whatever propaganda you're trying to give us? And I encourage everyone to question every single thing that each of you as individuals are doing in our community and whether you deserve those roles and how we can make sure that
Thank you,
have
Mr.
the
Montalvo.
people's voice and power.
Thank you, Mr. Montalvo. We don't respond to speakers, but there was a factual inaccuracy as far as what happens in the executive session. We do not discuss matters on the agenda that we're going to vote. Very prescribed what can happen in a special session. There are legal matters, there are personnel matters, and there are real estate matters. We do not talk about what we're going to vote on here, so I wanted to make that clarification. We're very strict about what happens in executive session. It's legally prescribed, and we follow those rules. So I want to thank everybody for being here tonight. And Mr. Montalvo, would you please not interrupt the proceedings? Thank you. Pardon me 1 second. Our next item on the agenda, I beg your pardon, I lost my own agenda up here. So it's going to have an update from the superintendent. I turn this over to Dr. Licata. Thank you, Dr. Licata.
Well, thank you very much, sir. Just want to give an update on some things that are happening out and about. Been about 160 classrooms, and these are not walk in, walk out. We spend some time in there. We talk to the principal and the AP, and we go through a process on what could be better, what is really good we want to see more of. We also see how the service of the students is taking place in the classroom. I can't see it from my office, so I spend most of my days in schools, and many of those in front of me have known that that's where I spend most of my time is in schools, so I can actually see and learn Fort Worth. I also want to talk about a stopover today that was not on my calendar, and I stopped at the World Language Institute. What an absolute gem. We have 400 students on a waiting list. We have 500 students in there. They are multilingual, not 2, not 3, 4, maybe 5. They do English, Spanish, French, German, Italian. I got to speak to the Italian teacher a little bit. They do Japanese, they do Mandarin, and they do sign language. I may have missed one. But I left that place and understanding that we have a gem that we need to expand on. We have 400 kids waiting to get in there. They have virtually 100% graduation rate. They have a wall of graduates. They're seniors of all the acceptances underneath of there. And there's, multiple colleges under each one of these students. It's 87% free and reduced lunch. That schools, they hold that standard for that child to come in and make sure they reach their highest potential and not shoot for growth or proficiency. And I am just thoroughly impressed, and we have to expand on that. And it will be a topic as we move forward about expanding the options for more of our kids to experience that environment, because it is phenomenal. I also want to talk about our job fairs over the last 3 or 4 weeks. They've been incredibly successful. We've hired nearly 600 new teachers over that time. We're still calculating them and putting them in the system. But more importantly, this past weekend, we had about 248 teachers be placed from the external part of our job fair. We had an amazing, amazing job fair. I want to thank all the folks that were a part of that. Our regional chiefs worked extra hard. Dr. Solis, Ms. Spencer, everybody involved on this. Dr. Kushner, what an amazing event. Every school had their own banner, iron cloth, and we rang a cowbell every time. And it was hard to do interviews or talk to people because the cowbells were ringing so often. And I spoke with several folks, some from Peoria, Illinois, Pascagoula, where I went to high school at Fort Pierce Westwood. So if I ever say Fort Pierce, I mean Fort Worth. But I went to Fort Pierce Westwood and graduated from there. Someone who actually played basketball with his brother. So it was really nice seeing so many people hearing about wanting to make an impact on the campuses here in Fort Worth. So we are holding an expectation to have 0 vacancies when we start, and even over hiring teachers as we move forward, and having a bank of teachers, so when a student gets to the school and the teacher didn't show up and maybe took another job or got sick for a few weeks, they're not getting a substitute, they're getting real teachers that can fill in immediately. And that's going to happen first on our Elevate campuses. I want to highlight our top 10 finalists for our Teachers of the Year that I got to meet personally a few weeks ago, and I've been visiting them ever since. I'm down to about 5 more I need to see. Jacqueline Bender from Woodway Elementary School. Alondra de Leon Trejo at Alice D. Contreras Elementary School. I am really working on enunciating these Hispanic names. I think it's important that I learn this. And I'll sneak in an Italian verbiage or accent every once in a while, so please forgive me. Marina Mendieta from West Hanley, Luis Ortiz from South High Mount, Dawn Bruns from Pasco High, Gina Marie Palladino from TCC South Campus, got to meet her today. She's an amazing math teacher. Francisco Rodriguez from Stripling Middle School, Catherine Smith from Monig Middle School, and Caitlin York from Leonard Middle School. This is a unique also conversation because I've been attending with board members individually and going to schools that are in their area. And we're down to only having 2. one over there at the end. But it's been very good for them to see what we're doing in classrooms and how we are actually standing by teachers and seeing what's missing and what is great and how we can expand upon that. But it really, I think, is eye-opening, and eventually maybe you all would like to open up publicly about that. But I think the best visit, and it's not to take away from anything, but to walk next to Mr. Stiegel in a school that he actually attended and see some people that were still there, I think, and it was very impressive to see, the connection you had there. But it was really nice to see a lot of you who have children in our district be able to attend the schools as well, which is nice, and ask some questions about what's going on and see that process of how we are the educational leaders. We are expert teachers. We are the ones that are going to stand by. We're not blaming teachers. We're going to stand next to them and work with them to make sure that the child's getting the best education. We will diagnose that immediately. And that's why I want to introduce the next group of people. The group of people sitting in front of me have gone through a rigorous interview process. Not just questions and answers and who you are and what your resume says, but they've been brought into classrooms with our team of regional chiefs, myself, our deputy chief of schools, our chief of staff, and then they are quizzed, and then they are talked about. What is going on in there? What do you see? And it's a performance test like no other. And it's not easy, and they sweat. And I have to tell you, quite a few people were turned away at that door after they did not pass that part of the assessment. These are the very best principals that we felt applied for our positions in the Elevate schools, and not all of them are here because some are from way out of town, other states. But I do want to recognize the ones that are here that may have come out of retirement, that may have just been at their school for a few years, that gave me the stories, because when they walk into my office for final approval, I ask them, tell me who you are and don't tell me your resume. And to hear what they have to say about who they are is just phenomenal. So as I go in order, please stand so we can recognize you. Tamara Dugan, Clifford Davis Elementary School. Juanita White at Van Zant. Tiffany Moody at Marjorie Watson. Moody, sorry. Robert Berrientos at Diamond Hill. Celia Sanchez at William James. Katie Myers Alice at Rufina Mendoza. Janae Capshaw at William Green Elementary School. Amelia Cortez Rangel at Western Hills Elementary School. Melissa Strom at William Monig Middle School. Marlette Martinez at West Hanley. Alexandra Montez at W.J. Turner. Amber Jardin at Hazel Harvey Peace. Christopher Latson, Wedgwood Middle School. And finally, Catherine Ridley at Morningside Middle School. I want to tell you that it is a pleasure. I am proud. I am honored to be able to person to say, this is your next role. And I know some of you, it happened right on the spot because we saw what you were doing. Some of you were already in that role, and you just impressed the team so much. Even under the circumstances of having so many vacancies in your schools, not being supported. So those things are changing. That's why we know you've done a great job with little resources, but you guys are on the front line of some of our most difficult and challenging schools, but those kids deserve you, and they deserve us, and as a lot of the speakers say, they deserve the very best, and this is our effort to make that turn. So I appreciate it very, very much. One more round of applause for these amazing principals. I also want to make a really big personal announcement. This might be the last night for me on an air mattress and 4 Costco folding chairs, because I think my furniture truck is arriving to the new home we bought last week. So we are in it. My wife and I, we've moved here. We live nowhere else. But this is where we live, and this is where I am going to enjoy the next umpteen years of being around a great, great community in a great city that really cares about what's coming for these kids. So thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Licata. I'd ask I've had questions, I know board members have had questions about the investment that you're making in the lowest performing schools in the poorest parts of our district. And you've acknowledged that there are some schools that are better resourced than others and staffed differently. Could you talk for a moment, particularly what you're doing in the Elevate schools, how you chose the Elevate schools, and the additional resources and support that you're applying to our children who have not received the support they needed in the past?
I appreciate that question, and it frustrates me a little bit, simply because when I first started with the team, we designated so many schools that we really wanted to put this model into. This is a costly model, but it's worth it. And we were at about 48 schools, then we knocked it down to 35. I was pushing for 35, and that is a massive budget haul. So we got down to the number, and I will let Dr. Solis, Chief of Schools, explain how he talked me into going down farther, but the model that he is working with, that we are all supporting immensely, and it's pretty impressive, but just because you're not in Elevate doesn't mean you are not going to get the very best. It's all going to be the same, but we have to make sure these F schools, which are mostly F schools, are not on that, because there are some great teachers in there, and there are some great kids in there, and we want to make sure all of them are. So I'm going to let you go, sir.
Good evening, President Guerin, Board of Managers, and Superintendent Licata. To answer your question pointedly, in order for an Elevate school to join the Elevate network, essentially it had to be an F-rated school. A D-rated school with a domain 1F, meaning their student achievement is still at an F rating. Their domain 3 also had to be at a 75 or below, meaning they are really struggling closing the gaps in achievement, and also closing the gaps for Black and Brown students and our special student groups. The unique staffing model that will be placed at the Elevate schools include positions that are very unique to Elevate, including a learning facilitator, a resident teacher. So we are never in a situation in an Elevate school where we need substitute teachers, and we can guarantee continuity in the instructional delivery, so our students are not missing any instructional time when a teacher has to be absent. We will have standardized ratios for our classrooms, so we will make sure that no classroom exceeds 25 students in any of our classrooms. And we are working very strategically behind the scenes right now and building out the model with all of the cabinet members, because it's truly a collaborative effort from HR to FMO to the IT team, and making sure we have all of our classrooms ready to roll on day one when we kick off the 26-27 school year.
I'd like to add to that those resources, and that's why we had to narrow it down. And I'm throwing out a round number, so gentlemen in the middle that are staring at me, you too, you know who I'm talking to. This can be anywhere from $3 to $4.5 million, depending on the size of school, additional resources that we have cut out of this building that will be going to those schools. That's how we do this. We prescribe to the schools. We put the very best educational leaders who will not be worrying about buses and air conditioning and waxed floors. That's a different person that'll be operating. That's a different person. Principals are side by side next to those teachers, and they are the best educational leaders of those schools. It's worth the investment. We get that rolling, get them all out of there. We move to a different model. We make sure all of our schools are not D or F. A and B is our ultimate goal. So it's worth the effort, it's worth the money, it's worth putting our best people in those most difficult schools, because those children deserve it, and those communities deserve it around there, and they absolutely deserve our attention. So thank you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Licata. You alluded to the job fair this weekend and the number of teachers that you hired this weekend. How many applicants showed up at the job fair this past Saturday?
This past Saturday, I think we had close to 460 register, almost 500 register. I know that we hired approximately 295 teachers, and we hired assistants and such as well. Some just were not there they weren't able to be in front of our students, shall we say. So overall, I mean, we've had probably close to, would it be fair to say, almost 600 hires. We're calculating that now. Our new chief of HR has been working too many hours because I keep sending her questions, where are our numbers? And I do want to say this, and I'm not talking about the past. We have a lot of systems that we don't have, that we can't get these numbers instantly. And we got to build some systems in the district to be able to diagnose what our biggest issues are, where they are, how they are. So we're building systems at the same time we're trying to support schools. And schools, number one is the number one. But we have to start building some systems because we're not efficient right now. We're in an inefficient model. So, and I'm not speaking ill of anything, but that number should be handy. And it took a little bit to get those numbers because it was counted by hand. So we have to get away from those kind of things.
Thank you, Dr. Licata. Do any of the other board members have any questions? Okay, if we have none, we're now moving to the action agenda items. Agenda item A is approve the renewal and awarding of probationary and term Chapter 21 contracts of specified certified employees for the 2026-2027 contract year. Is there a motion concerning this item?
I move to approve the list of employees recommended by the superintendent for renewal and awarding of Chapter 21 term and probationary contracts for the 2026-2027 contract year.
Motion made by Ms. Verdeja. Do we have a second?
No second.
We have
no
a
second.
We have a second. Is there any discussion? We'll now move to voting. We have, is Lori? It's moved to the, okay, pardon me, the screen on the right, the screen on the left moved off the page. We have 4 voting aye, none voting no. The motion passes.
We have 7 voted yes.
That looks like a 4.
Oh, pardon me, I'm miscounted. 7 voted no. Our screen is only partly up right now. So could we adjust it so we get all the names on the screen? There we go. All right. Thank you. 7 voted aye, none abstained, none voted no. The motion passes. We now move to agenda item B, approve proposed non-renewal of certain term contract employees pursuant to Chapter 21 of the Texas Education Code. Is there a motion?
I move to propose non-renewal of the term contracts of the following employees pursuant to Chapter 21 of the Texas Education Code: Erwin Santiago, Kimberly Jenkins, and Danielle Branch.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a second. Is there any discussion? We will now move to voting. We have 7 voting aye, none abstained, none voting no. The motion passes. Move to agenda item C, recommendation to terminate certain probationary contract employees at the end of the contract period in the best interest of the district pursuant to Chapter 21 of the Texas Education Code. Is there a motion concerning this item?
I move to terminate the probationary contracts of the following employees at the end of the contract term in the best interest of the district pursuant to Chapter 21 of the Texas Education Code: Felix Martinez, John Shade, Stacy Sweeney, Jacqueline Despero, Mario Carrillo Sanchez, Leticia Avila.
Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. Is there any discussion? We'll now move to voting. We have 15 yes votes, no abstentions, and no noes. The motion passes. 7 aye votes. Item D will not take up this evening. The last agenda item is agenda item E, approve proposed revisions to board policy, DCE local, employment practices, other types of contracts. Is there a motion concerning this item?
I move to approve the proposed revisions to board policy DECE local employment practices and other types of contracts as set forth in the agenda documents.
Do we have a second?
I second that.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll now move to voting. Outcome 7 voting yes, no abstentions, and no noes. The motion passes. This concludes the items on the agenda for tonight's meeting. I'd like to close by, again, thanking all of the community members who came out tonight and that shared with us. We appreciate your participation in the process. I want to congratulate all these principals here tonight. We look forward to your outstanding success. Glad we had the opportunity to acknowledge you and introduce you. As there is no further business, the time is 7:15 p.m. and this meeting is adjourned.